when Nigeria became independent in 1960, the world had its eyes on the most populous black nation, and for the right reasons. At that time, Nigeria boasted excellence in intellectual and educational pursuits, business, international diplomacy, as well as military and political leadership. When Congo was in tumult, the UN peacekeeping forces relied on Nigeria for leadership and military support. This occurred when other countries needed help too. They turned to Nigeria. Nigeria spearheaded the anti-apartheid struggle in southern African countries such as South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. The West African nation also supported and funded liberation movements in Namibia, Angola, and Mozambique, amongst others. The African Union and the Economic Community of West African states regarded Nigeria as their lifeline, and to a great extent, they still do. The Nigerian economy grew from 2017 through 2019, turned negative in 2020, and rebounded in 2021 and 2022. Nigeria is a developing country in Africa, and it is mostly referred to as the Giant of Africa. It has a market economy and has Africa's largest nominal gross domestic product and net wealth. It has the first largest purchasing power parity in Africa, followed by Egypt, South Africa, and Algeria. It had the world's 27th nominal purchasing power capita gross domestic product and the 24th highest per capita gross domestic product in 2022. Nigeria is the third most technologically powerful and innovative economy in Africa. Its firms are at or near the forefront of technological advances, especially in artificial intelligence, computers, pharmaceuticals, and medicine. The Nigerian naira is the currency used, and it is the foremost reserve currency of Nigeria, backed by its economy, military, and large naira treasuries. Nigeria's largest trading partners are India, Spain, Netherlands, South Africa, China, France, Portugal, Cameroon, and Italy. Nigeria is Africa's fifth largest importer and the second largest exporter. It has free trade agreements with several countries, including Australia, Morocco, Colombia, Israel, and several others that are in effect or under negotiation. So let's dive right into the richest economy in Africa, Nigeria. Stay tuned, cause this is going to be fascinating. We will look at various sectors of the Nigerian economy. 1. Agriculture. Agriculture in Nigeria is a branch of the economy, employing about 35% of the population as of 2020, as reported by the Food and Agriculture Organization. Agriculture remains the foundation of the Nigerian economy, despite the presence of oil in the country. It is the main source of livelihood for most Nigerians. The agricultural sector is made up of four subsectors: crop production, livestock, forestry, and fishing. Nigeria has a total agricultural area of 70.8 million hectares, with a total of 70% households practicing crop farming. Agriculture remains the largest sector in Nigeria, contributing an average of 24% to the nation's gross domestic product over the past 7 years, that is from 2013 to 2019. In addition, the sector employs more than 36% of the country's labor force, a feat that ranks the sector as the largest employer of labor in the country. In recent years, focus has returned to agriculture as an important source of revenue for a diversified Nigerian economy. 2. Industries. The Nigerian economy is highly dependent on petroleum and its byproducts, with the richest man in Nigeria and Africa, Aliko Dangote, constructing a refinery which will be the largest in Africa upon completion. The Dangote refinery will produce 650,000 barrels per day. We have a video of this refinery on our channel. Nigeria's dependence on oil has brought the country into difficult times, especially with the global fall of prices of crude oil that began in 2014. However, if Nigeria produces other goods and diversifies its economy away from the petroleum sector, there will be more income from various sources. Nigeria will also not be at the mercy of economic powers when prices fluctuate in any sector. The industrial sector accounts for 6% of economic activity, while the manufacturing sector contributed only 4% to GDP in 2011. In recent years, the industry contributed 28.2%. 3. GDP. In recent years, agriculture has largely contributed around 24% to Nigeria's GDP, 28% came from industry, and 46.4% from the service sector. The gross domestic product in Nigeria was worth $432.3 billion in 2020 and now $445 billion in 2022, according to official data and research. The gross domestic product value of Nigeria represents 0.38% of the world economy. The industrial sector accounts for 6% of economic activity, while the manufacturing sector contributed only 4% to the gross domestic product in 2011, 2022, and agriculture contributed around 26.14% to Nigeria's gross domestic product. 4. GDP per capita. In 2020, the gross domestic product per capita for Nigeria was $2,083. The GDP per capita of Nigeria increased from $583 in 2001 to $2,083 in 2020, growing at an average annual rate of 7.69%, and it stands up to date. 5. GDP per growth rate. The economy of Nigeria advanced by 3.1% from a year ago in the first quarter of 2022, following a 3.98% rise in the prior period. This marks the third consecutive quarter of slowing growth. The non-oil sector expanded by 6.8%, faster than 4.73% in the fourth quarter, driven by good performance in information and communication, primarily telecommunications, trade, financial and insurance, agriculture, and manufacturing. However, the oil sector plunged after an 8% slump in the previous quarter, reflecting lower oil output as the average daily crude oil production stood at 1.5 million barrels per day. 6. Labor force. Nigeria has a labor force of over 80 million people. As of 2020, the Nigerian labor force population was mainly concentrated in rural areas of the country, which had almost double that of urban zones. During the second quarter of 2020, the unemployment rate in Nigeria reached about 27%. Data on the unemployment rate from other sources refer to much lower rates. Agriculture includes farming, fishing, and forestry. Industry includes mining, manufacturing, energy production, and construction. Services cover government activities, communications, transportation, finance, and all other economic activities that do not produce material goods. The agricultural sector has the highest labor force, followed by services, and lastly by industries. 7. Imports. In the fourth quarter of 2021, Nigeria imported manufactured goods worth around 3,000 trillion Nigerian nairas. This corresponded to roughly $7.2 trillion. Compared to the previous quarters reviewed, the import value declined. In the third quarter of 2021, a high of approximately 4,900 trillion, which is about $11.8 trillion of manufactured goods imports were registered. These data are from reports by Statista. As said earlier, Nigeria is the fifth largest African country involved in imports. According to data provided, machinery and transport equipment was Nigeria's leading import in the second quarter of 2018, with an import value of 600.6 billion naira from 699.1 billion naira recorded in the first quarter of 2018. 8. Exports. Based on the average exchange rate for 2020, the Nigerian naira depreciated by 41.5% against the US dollar since 2016 and declined 16.9% from 2019 to 2020. Nigeria's weaker local currency makes its exports paid for in stronger US dollars, thus relatively less expensive for international buyers. Nigeria's biggest export is crude oil, a commodity that represents 3/4, accounting 75.4% of its total exported goods by value. That percentage belies the relatively concentrated nature of the Nigerian portfolio of export products. Look at these. Mineral fuels, including oil, comprise 88.6% of total exports. Ships, boats, 6.3%. Oilseeds, 1%. Cocoa, 1%. Fertilizers, 0.5%. Aircraft, spacecraft, 0.5%. Fruits, nuts, 0.4%. Tobacco, manufactured substitutes, 0.2%. Raw hides, skins not for skins, leather, 0.2%. Machinery including computers, 0.1%. These top 10 exports are highly concentrated, accounting for 98.9% of the overall value of the country's global shipments. 9. Healthcare. As of February 2018, the country was ranked 187 out of 191 countries in the world in assessing the level of compliance with the universal health coverage, as very little of the populace are health insured, whereas even government provision for health is insignificant. It is positively associated with the indicators of labor productivity, personal spending, and gross domestic product. The study shows that an increase in healthcare expenditure has a positive relationship with economic performance. Therefore, investing carefully in various healthcare aspects would boost income, gross domestic product, and productivity, and alleviate poverty, hence good impact on the economy of the county. 10. Education. In Nigeria, the investment in education and human capital development has brought positive changes and good effects in the economic growth and development for so many years now. Education has helped in quality human development that has been a very important tool in economic growth and development in Nigeria. This also creates job opportunities in various government and non-government sectors. The more people are educated, the better the economy, because it is only through a proper and adequate learning process that geniuses are discovered to handle one economic program or another. The poverty index of every country can be reduced only through proper education, and Nigeria is moving towards that. According to Statista, in 2022, Nigeria has a total of 170 universities. 79 private universities, 43 federal universities, and 48 state-owned universities. Education has helped in the attraction of foreign investors to the country. It has also placed Nigeria in the economic decision-making bodies of the world. 11. Forestry and wildlife. Forests are recognized as an integral part of national economies, providing a wide range of production inputs: environmental goods, food, fuel, medicines, household equipment, building material, and raw materials for industrial processing. Forests support agriculture by providing materials for farm implements, harvesting and transportation equipment, crop storage containers and dryers, as well as fuel for crop processing. However, these multiple benefits and services are valued differently by different people. For several reasons, the roles that forests are expected to play in local, national, and global development change dramatically over time. Economic development strategies increasingly recognize the capital values of forests in national policies and programs that modify forest stocks, qualities, and distributions. Forests are now widely acknowledged as both productive capital stocks and as components of public infrastructural systems. Forest systems provide services that, in their absence, would require capital expenditures or reductions in human well-being. Forests also attract recreational users. Since tourism and recreation may require infrastructural investment beyond the requirements of the processing industry, this economic activity usually awaits later stages of industrial and commercial growth. 12. Foreign reserves. In 2020, the Nigerian international reserves were $36,729 million. Though Nigeria's international reserves fluctuated substantially in recent years, they tended to increase through the 1971 to 2020 period, ending at $36,729 million. Foreign exchange reserves in Nigeria increased to $39,650 million in April from $39,550 million in March of 2022. 13. Mining. The mining of minerals in Nigeria accounts for only 0.3% of its GDP due to the influence of its oil resources. The domestic mining industry is underdeveloped, leading to Nigeria having to import minerals that it could produce domestically, such as salt or iron ore. The federal government of Nigeria holds rights to ownership of mineral resources, which grants titles to organizations to explore, mine, and sell mineral resources. In recent times, there has been some development in gold exploration. Nigeria has several iron ore deposits, and the purest deposits are also found there. Recently, several important uranium deposits have been discovered in many states. Gemstone mining has occurred in various parts of the country. Bitumen is also a vital mineral mined in Nigeria. There is small-scale mining of columbite, wolframite, and tantalite compared to the other minerals. Nigeria is abundantly blessed with natural resources, boasting as the largest producer and exporter of oil in Africa, and the 11th largest in the world. With the resources at the country's disposal, it's no surprise that it has the largest economy in Africa. In a utopian world, Nigeria would have been one of the most powerful countries on Earth and a desirable investment spot. All these show that Nigeria's economy is one of the fastest-growing African economies. We have come to the end of this amazing edition. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications, and tell us what you think about this in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and see you in our next video.